We have some incredible nominees for Best Actor, Actress this year, all equally deserving of this award, so let's go through them.
Why did you stay? Why did you have to leave? I I could have fixed it. I swear. I could have done more. I should have done more. You know, they always say time heals everything. They lie. Time doesn't heal anything. Time just lets you get used to the pain. It knows you, wears you down, but it never makes it go away. It doesn't mean the hole she left in me.
Brilliant performance. What's next?
Um, Today is the day that I save. What's my line again?
That one was, interesting. Before we see our last act, we have a member of the award voting committee to clear up some confusion and cheating allegations we have had over the past couple of years.
All actors and actresses presented tonight have been displayed equally and fairly. There is absolutely no favoritism or cheating of any kind in this process. Everyone you see on screen today is legit. Even me.
And the winner is member of the award voting committee.
That's right, it was me all along. I guess I am not such a bad actor. I had you all thinking I was really a member of the voting committee. I guess you can't believe everything you see on award shows.
Hello, welcome to our roundtable discussion on our Rogerian Argument. We're going to be talking about whether or not major film awards are rigged. Firstly, to introduce, we're going to be talking about how nominations work, how people are even chosen or selected for these awards in the first place.
Awesome. So I'll get us started off here. My name is Sophia. I did a lot of looking into just like the process of voting, and I mainly focused on the EGOTs, which is the Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and Tonys. Those are kind of the core four. So for the Oscars, any member who's part of the Academy, which is the group of the movies, um, is eligible to vote for all categories, including Best Picture, which is the big one. The Academy also notes that if a member does not feel fit to vote in a certain category, that they are not required to. So, anyone who is part of the industry and a notable part of the industry is allowed to vote. But, if you only do action movies and there's a country movie for like a Western movie for the running and you don't feel confident in making a choice for that one, then they encourage you not to. And that's kind of similar to how the Grammys runs it, where they only give you the options of the categories that they think you are eligible and credible for, except for the album of the year, song of the year, and like the big ones that are all category wise. Otherwise, you're only given the ones that apply to you. Um, the Oscar also notes that voting is done very close to the date of the announcement. Only a select few people know the results prior to the reveal. These are the people that create the actual envelopes that you see on the TV. And the winner is, and so they're the only people that know the answers and up until the very moment that they're revealed. This confidentiality keeps the answers safe and ensures that they're not tampered with in any way. So once that the voters vote, then they get sealed in those envelopes and they are not touched. And lastly, I think it's just important to remember that most award shows do not allow campaigning. This means that a movie or song or whatever cannot ask for votes. This makes the voting process more fair and allowing the voter to be completely entitled to their professional opinion and not influenced by advertisement. So that's kind of just what I got on like the whole process of voting and some things that might clear up like the credibility of the people who give us these awards, not us, the people who actually, yeah.
So that's mainly how they actually work, and we're worried about with this discussion if they are or are not rigged in the way
Mm-hmm.
that they are not altered in some way, shape, or form, so that the person who is receiving the award is the rightful owner of said award. First up, we have if they are rigged.
Oh, okay. I'm Anne Laurie, and I'm on the stand that they are rigged because of bias and stuff. So, a little thing to note is some notable artists that have never won a Grammy are Bob Marley, Jimi Hendrix, ABBA, Janis Joplin, Snoop Dogg, Bjork, Queen, Busta Rhymes, Guns N' Roses, Diana Ross, Tupac, Biggie, and Iggy Pop. Now, that doesn't say that they're rigged or anything, but that is something to make note of within the thing. So I did a lot of mine in regards to the Grammys and also the Oscars. So I'm going to start with the Grammys first. So a recent study by USC showed that from 2013 to 2018, only 9.3% of Grammy nominations have gone to women, while the rest went to male performers, which shows a lack of diversity within the genders. And another thing to note was that in 2018, Lorde was the only woman nominated for Album of the Year, and she wasn't even given a solo performance. And the former Grammy CEO Neil Partnow, when people addressed this, basically said that women need to step up when asked about the gender balance, which caused a lot of controversy. And also, there's been a lot of talk just about like the race within the Grammys and stuff, because there's been a lot of like rap and R&B and like music by black artists that has been lumped into a generic urban category, which has been seen as just very stereotypical and very harmful and stuff. And so one note also is like Drake, when he won Hotline Bling, or when Hotline Bling won Best Rap Solo, he basically called the Grammys out because he was like, this isn't a rap song and stuff. But on to the Academy Awards. So I have a thing here that says that the Oscars have a long-standing racial bias in selecting award winners. So I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but Miyoshi Omika is one of the only Asians to have ever won an acting Oscar. Even nominations of non-white actors are rare. Only 5 Latino women have ever been nominated for Best Actress. And Stephen Young and Riz Ahmed are the first Asian American Muslim actors to be nominated for Best Actor. In fact, 98.9% of the winners for Best Actress and 93.2% of winners for Best Actor from 1928 to 2015 have been white. And there's also a gender bias, which the Oscars have historically had a discriminatory bias against women since 1929, when the Academy Awards were handed out. Only 14% of the nominations have been women, and like the award for Best Director, which has had 449 nominations since its beginning, only 5 of those have gone to women. And basically, only 28% of Oscar nominations were women. The Music Awards, which is another category of the Oscars, which has 1,238 nominees, with women only making 1.6% of them, which isn't to say, I mean, there are a lot of female and non-white actors that are good and stuff. Yeah, and statistics show that Oscars tend to give out awards to people who are typically white and male. According to Daily World, it said 99% of like the best directors from 1927 to 2015 were white and mostly men, and then 98.9% from 1928 to 2015 were Best Actress and stuff. And then one article I found that was very interesting. So there was Duggan, I don't have her full name, but She was one of the CEOs for the Academy Awards, like was one of the CEOs and stuff, and she was suspended or because of that. But she also like counter they filed a complaint against her, but then she also filed a complaint back against them, or 44-page complaint against the Employment Opportunity Commission Act in regards to the Academy, where she accused the Academy of rigging the vote and like claims of harassment against the executives and stuff. And it says that on Thursday, a task force hired by the Academy to identify diversity issues in the organization publicly sided with Duncan. So she was saying, so she like basically had a whole article saying that, or a 44-page article where she said that the votes were being rigged and that there was rigging stuff. And they hired a task force, and the task force did an independent study and found that there was diversity and there was rigging within the thing. And in a statement, the task force said of Duggan's complaints, these new charges reinforce just how important and urgent it is that the Academy implement all the changes and the report that we delivered without delay. So they're saying like the Academy needs to, address these changes or address this stuff because there's an issue. And she also went on to Good Morning America, and she said, in that room, not only are there trustees that have conflicts of interest on particular artists that are nominated, but more importantly, there are even artists that are nominated that are in that room. This process could be fair and transparent. So many good people on the board, they deserve better. And then when asked later, like if she would call the process rigged on the show, she said, yes, it is. Which the Academy, or the Bill Fremont of the Academy chief, he said that these are false and stuff for the roles. But she's somebody that's on the actual, like, or was on the actual voting committee.
I think all those, it's a lot of statistics. It's a lot of things I had never really noticed. I mean, I watch the Grammys every year. I watch the Tonys every year, which we haven't really talked about much. But I think, I don't know, looking at it, the Tonys seems a little better at this kind of stuff. I would like to think. But the Tonys, for anyone who doesn't know, is the theater-based ones for Broadway. Yeah, that really shocked me right there at the beginning when you said all the artists who had never received Grammys. Like those are like some of our most notable artists today,
and
which
that's
is actually insane. Like Queen has been around, was in the 70s, and people still know Bohemian Rhapsody, all the popular songs. They never.
Yeah,
That's
all these
crazy.
household names.
And I mean, yeah, I think a lot of those statistics are very. Yeah, that's.
yeah. I was very shocked when I was researching.
Okay, next up is the side for no, they are not rigged.
I don't think they rigged. I did research that a lot of people claim that the Oscar winners are determined by politics, but because they got like predictable patterns where they could predict who's gonna win the next award show. I had found like three main points on why they're not rigged. My first point is because they got multiple steps to make sure that nobody like cheat their vote. My second point is they use like a large and diverse. They use different races and genders. Like they don't use like one race and gender. They like diverse and they like ask multiple people. And they also use professionals when they come voting. And they also use in the public. They have a large say so the voting. Like they use a lot of the public votes and opinions when they come to choosing for the awards.
I know, especially for the Grammys, when back to my teacher, when he would look at these and he's like, these are guys I've never heard of, he would ask us like, hey, what do you feel about, to get an opinion, because he's like in his 60s, he's old, so he's not totally into the music of today, I guess you could say. And so he and I'm sure a lot of other members of the Recording Academy use their sources to like try to make the best vote possible. But even then, sometimes it seems like, I think that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Even with all those rules, how are we still getting these results of the statistics that Anne Laurie was describing of that.
Next up is opposition. So the side that is opposing your argument. Why do you think that they would think so? So why do you think that the side opposing you is opposing you?
Oh, is that me?
Yeah,
Go for
actually.
it.
Yeah.
I'll let you start.
Yeah. I mean, I think just like Sophia said that how there is like, you know, the process, and also she mentioned that there is no technically no advertising, like you don't see commercials for you know, the nominations and stuff.
It's not like a political race where everyone for the 5 months of your life all you're saying is vote for this guy or this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will counter that and say that there is like some, you can debate that there is like some internal campaigning. Like campaigning and stuff, and that some of it could be seen as political, as far as like, you know, people might know the voting people, or, you know, have connections with it and stuff, but as far as like, you know, TV and everything,
medias and stuff.
Yeah, you don't really see it. I mean, like Rogerian mentioned, like, you know, you know, diversity within the voting committee could also make people think that there isn't like any bias or anything within the committee, because there is that diversity.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think you also mentioned about how like the envelopes like sealed her and stuff, and like the whole process. So, like, it's like, you know, somebody wouldn't be able to tamper with that.
Yeah.
In that regard. So yeah.
Rogerian, why do you think that the other side is opposing you on this?
I think because like since they like people, it ain't red because like they won't want to run their reputation, but like if they red, like they could like lose their career because they want to like change how the voting process is. So that's why I think it ain't red.
Yeah, I think the shows know that they matter a lot to the world, and I think like just kind of piggyback what he's saying there. I don't know. I'm very playing neutral all of a sudden. Like I thought I was coming here one way, but I think, and which is kind of the point of Rogerian here, is to kind of find a middle ground, which I think is what we're kind of doing. Yeah, yes. We can do the assignment. But I think it's important that the shows know that they have a reputation, and if they mess with it in a way that is just like them messing with it on purpose, that they will lose a lot of their whatever the word is. But when it comes to just like, you know, the results we're getting, I totally agree. I mean, are the results that like they have voted for, like what we're seeing is what they voted for, but then it still is just maybe on a personal basis of how are we still getting all those statistics of like only one woman every so often, one person of color, one. I think that's where it's still interesting, just from a standpoint of it's interesting.
Yeah, and one thing also that you mentioned with the like, yeah, the award shows as a whole, like, you know, have this like
Reputation.
Like have this reputation and stuff to where they're not going to risk it. But another thing to note is that the people voting, a lot of people don't know the people that are voting, and so there's not this reputation with the people voting.
Yeah,
you can argue with that and stuff, which leads a lot of times, I feel like, to, you know, this bias within the voting process.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's like, you know, necessarily the like Academy or the Grammys themselves that are like, oh, we're doing this. It's more so like individual people.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? I think that's a good
that are causing these statistics.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I think we're starting to run a little long here, but what was the last thing to discuss is kind of just a middle ground? I think that's kind of what we got here.
I think so. I don't think we need to cover middle ground as a topic. We answered that one.
Yeah.
Like I think I think middle ground would be to get rid of those people that are having the bias.
Yeah, just kind of maybe have some more of a process of not necessarily everyone. I like
Yeah.
the way the Grammys does it, where like you only can vote where you're supposed to, and they have more restrictions. I think that would, yeah.
Before we get
Uh,
into closing, when you say that people can only vote where they're supposed to, you mean like in their specific
Yeah. So,
disciplines, right?
for example, to bring up Pat again, he's a masterer for like Americana music and like country, and so they don't give him any categories that are like heavy metal rock. He only is able to vote in the
Right.
categories in which he works in, except for album of the year, song of the year, best new artist. Those the big five that are like
Well known. Yes.
yes, the big five that are every category, but otherwise he only votes for what he is. And the Academy, the Oscars also does not have those specific rules, but they do say like, hey, if you don't feel do it, don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So into removing them from these positions of voting, um, what would be the process in doing so? How could we go about that?
That's an interesting thing
Um,
to
For
think about.
everyone.
I would say probably, like, first of all, probably getting a third party to investigate, somebody that's not going to be
Absolutely.
biased within the voting community, a
Yeah.
third party that can investigate and see basically who's been biased or like these biases and stuff, investigate
Kind of
and
look at
stuff.
everyone's
Yeah,
patterns
just look
and
at everybody's pattern because I feel like it would be very obvious
yeah,
and stuff. I mean,
definitely.
not
And
like
then
not a full pro
every single
process,
one is
not a full pro process, but just like a third party that can go through and stuff and then
definitely
remove those
put a red
people.
flag on people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put a red flag on those people and kind of just remove them from the process and say, hey, we don't think it's a good fit for you to be within the voting process because of your bias.
Right.
Absolutely. I think we've discussed a lot here.
Yeah.
Definitely a topic I didn't think I was going to be able to find a lot for, but here we are.